Good after, oops. Okay, no, I'm good. Excuse me, good afternoon, everyone. We are back from our break and to our special order of business, and it's a hearing on a petition for reinstatement. Excuse me. And I would like to turn it over to our ALJ.
Hello, my name is Marcy Larson, and am I not on?
Oh.
There we go. Is that working? Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Marcy Larson. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings. Do we have the Deputy Attorney General present? Either remotely. All right, and I believe that's Ms. Seamantle. Is she with us?
This is the moderator. I'm looking at our attendees, and I am not seeing her.
Make sure that is who it's supposed to be.
I think it is.
Yes, so I have Ms. Seamantle as the Deputy Attorney General for both of the petition matters.
She is, we're going to call her right now to see if.
All right.
We'll pause for a moment.
Indeed.
Yeah, and we'll check with the court recording.
It's being audio recorded, apparently.
Oh,
The parties, I guess, stipulated to audio.
Okay.
So that's not an issue.
Okay.
All right.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Seamantle. I can hear you, but I can't see you. Are you on camera?
I am. I can see myself. I don't know if the
There we go.
moderator is able
There
to
we go.
see me.
Yes, we can see you now. All right, excellent. All right, then I'm going to announce the case, and then after that I will explain how the petition hearing is going to proceed this morning. We are on the record. It is April 21st, 2022. It's approximately 1:06 p.m. We're here in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of Amdeep Singh. This matter is being heard before the Veterinary Medical Board, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California. This is OAH case number 2022-040-108. Will all the members of the board please identify themselves for the record, starting to my right with our president.
Kathy Bowler. Christina Bradbury.
Jennifer Laredo. Maria Brashosa Solacito.
Mark Nunez.
And then I believe we have one remote board member.
Yes, Jamie Noland.
All right, good afternoon. We do have a quorum present. As I mentioned, my name is Marcy Larson. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings. I'm assisting and presiding over the matter this afternoon on behalf of the board. May I please take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General?
Melissa C. Mantle, Deputy Attorney General. I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, representing the people of the state of California. I'm here to assist the board in fact-finding. My role is not adversarial, but is intended to protect the public interest. I'm here to ensure that the board has adequate information from which to make a decision.
All right, thank you. And Petitioner's Counsel, would you please state your appearance for the record?
Yes, my name is Bonnie Lutz, and I represent Dr. Singh, and Dr. Singh is also present.
All right, good afternoon. So just a brief overview of how the petition hearing will proceed this afternoon. The Deputy Attorney General will proceed first by submitting the petition package and identifying those 6 exhibits for the record. She will then give a brief orientation or overview of the history of discipline in this matter. And of course, the board is primarily concerned about any rehabilitation the petitioner has undergone since his license was revoked. After Ms. C. Mantle provides an overview, history of the discipline in this matter, Ms. Lutz, you'll have an opportunity to give an opening statement if you wish. You don't have to. You can go right into questioning Dr. Singh. I will swear Dr. Singh in so that all of his testimony is under oath. Ms. C. Mantle will also have an opportunity to question Dr. Singh if she wishes. After Ms. Lutz, you have questioned Dr. Singh, and then I open it up to our board members as well, so I'll ask each of them if they have any questions for Dr. Singh as well. After the presentation of evidence, both oral and documentary evidence, I will allow the parties to give closing remarks if they wish. Please remember, of course, the board members have the benefit of having the petition package, so they have those documents in front of them as well. And then after the petition hearings this afternoon, the board will go into closed session to deliberate concerning their decision in this matter. All right, with that explanation, any questions about how the petition hearing will proceed this afternoon?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Mantle, any questions?
No.
All right, Ms. Mantle, so I will leave it up to you. You can begin with an overview of the history in this matter, or you can start with the documents.
If I may start with the documents, please.
Of course.
Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing with proof of service. Would you like me to read through all of them or just have each of them admitted as we go through?
Actually, I'll just have you go through each of them and identify them for the record, and then if Ms. Lutz has any objection, I will ask her once you've identified the 6 exhibits.
Thank you. As I stated, exhibit...
I have no objection to any of the documents.
All right, but you have to wait until she identifies all of them, and then I'll just make sure that that's the case. All right, please continue, Ms. C. Mantle.
Thank you. Exhibit 2 is petitioner's license history certification. Exhibit 3 is the petition for reinstatement. Exhibit 4 are documents in support of the petition for reinstatement. Exhibit 5 is the decision and order in case number AV201526, OAH case number 2016-050594, which also includes the order denying petition for reconsideration, order granting 10-day stay of execution, the actual decision and order, the proposed decision, and the second amended accusation. Exhibit 6 is citation number 460-2022-0000254.
Right, and no objection from petitioner.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, exhibits 1 through 6 are admitted.
In regards to a brief background, the board issued petitioner registered veterinary license number 16252, June 12th of 2006. Effective April 18th of 2018, petitioner's license was revoked. A fine of $5,000 was imposed, and petitioner was ordered to pay the board cost recovery in the amount of $51,280 after a hearing on the second amended accusation, which was filed in case number AV 201526. In that accusation matter, respondent was found to have been negligent in his care and treatment of 3 Schnauzer puppies for failure to examine the puppies at a recheck appointment and allowing his assistant to examine them. Respondent was also found to be negligent in the care and treatment of another animal, failing to provide close supervision or monitoring overnight, failure to recognize potential pulmonary bleeding on the radiographs, and failing to examine the animal before leaving early in the morning hours. Also, respondent failed to have proper record keeping in regards to the 3 Schnauzer puppies, another puppy or another dog, a animal named Daisy, Dexter, Hercules, and Lady. Also, respondent was found to have engaged in fraud and deception, as a respondent was found to have altered medical records that were submitted to the board for 3 animals. Finally, the administrative law judge found that, and the board later found that there was unprofessional conduct that was established based upon submission of altered medical records with fraudulent intent for 2 animals. Petitioner is requesting that the board reinstate his license. Because the burden is on petitioner, I have no further statements, but would reserve the right to question petitioner.
Thank you. Ms. Lutz, would you like to give any opening remarks?
No, Your Honor, I think we can just go ahead with the questioning.
All right, then the first thing, Dr. Singh, I need to do is swear you in, so I'm going to have you please rise. Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please have a seat. And please state and spell your name.
Amandeep Singh, AMANDEEP SINGH.
All right, Mr. Singh, just a few ground rules before your attorney starts questioning you. Just make sure that you wait until she finishes her question completely before you answer it, and that makes sure you're not talking over each other. For any reason Ms. Seamantle wants to object to a question, she will say the word objection. If you hear that word, do not answer the question unless I instruct you to do so. Just please remember to keep your voice up nice and loud so we can all hear you as well, all right? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
That's the other rule. You have to answer audibly. Even though I can see you shake your head, we need to make sure that our record is clear, all right?
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Lutz, your witness.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Singh, could you please look at Exhibit 3, page 3-001?
Yes, I have it.
And does Exhibit 3, pages 001 through 003, is that the actual petition that you submitted for reinstatement of your license?
Yes.
And is that your signature on page 3-003?
Yes.
Did you file this petition on or about April 12th of 2021?
Yes.
Okay, if I can have you look at a section that's called Continuing Education, it's on page Exhibit 3-002.
Yes.
I see there that you've listed 4 areas of continuing education. Can you describe the course that you took at Purdue University?
There were either there were two courses. I'm not sure, I don't remember it correctly, whether they were titled as two different courses or as a one course. So I took two courses from Purdue University. One of them was feline improper elimination, and the second one was human-animal bond.
Okay, can I have you look at Exhibit 4-014, please?
Yes, I have it.
Is that a certificate that you received after attending one of the courses?
Yes.
Can I have you look at Exhibit 4-015, please? Is that a certificate that you received after attending the other course at Purdue?
Yes.
How did these courses help you with your rehabilitation?
It gave me more insight of understanding the reason why I lost my license. There were multiple factors involved in it, and it gave me better insight of my mistakes.
Okay, can I have you look at the WVC 92 annual conference on page 3-002?
Exhibit 3-002.
Yes. I'm just going to ask you, did you attend the Western Veterinary Conference in Las Vegas in February of 2020?
Yes.
Did you attend that in person?
Yes.
And how many hours of continuing education did you earn from attending that conference?
I think anywhere from 30 to 35 hours.
I believe you stated it on your petition, if you want to just refresh your recollection.
Yes, 30, yes.
How many hours?
32 hours.
Okay. And can I have you look at Exhibit 4-017, please?
Yeah, I have it.
And is that the certificate of attendance that you received after attending WVC?
Yes.
How did your attendance at Western Veterinary Conference in 2020, how did that attendance help you with your rehabilitation?
There are quite a few lectures which are very close to what we do as a veterinarian, keeping us current on those subjects. Also, I always go to exhibits which are part of Western Veterinary Conference. There are a lot of new tools and technologies which comes out every year, and it always interests me to know that what is something new which can help a veterinarian to do his or her job. So lectures, exhibits, those help.
Do you recall if there were any courses on medical record keeping at that conference?
I do not think so, not on medical record keeping.
Okay. Okay, if I can have you look at, back at Exhibit 3-002, what is the third entry under continuing education that you have there?
The third entry is PAC Vet Live Conference.
And did you actually attend that conference in person?
No, I did not.
Why is that?
That time the conference was only offered due to COVID reasons online, and that's why it was virtual.
How many hours of continuing education did you earn attending PACVET?
There were a total of 12 hours.
And can I have you look at Exhibit 4-016, please?
Yes, I have it.
And is that the certificate of attendance that you received after attending PACVET?
Yes.
Did you attend all of these conferences that you've listed on this exhibit?
Yes.
Is that your signature at the bottom of the page?
Yes.
How did your attendance at PACVET assist you with your rehabilitation?
Same thing, the topics, the lectures, the talk by the experts, it gave us more information and knowledge regarding our field.
Okay, if I can have you look at Exhibit 3-002 again, and tell me what the fourth item you have listed under continuing education.
The fourth item is Quantum of Veterinary Soft Tissue Surgery course.
And was that course in person or online?
That was online as well.
How many hours of continuing education did you earn from that?
It was a total of 24 hours.
Do you recall any specifics about that course?
Yes, there were quite a few surgeries which there were ear canal ablation surgery, C-section surgery, cystotomy, resection and anastomosis on a foreign body cases. There were about total of 8 to 10 different surgeries which were in that course.
And did this course assist you with your rehabilitation?
Yes, again, these are all the surgeries which we encounter in day-to-day basis, and especially in the area where I have been practicing from last 10 to 15 years. These are the most common cases which I see every day.
Can I have you look at Exhibit 4-018, please?
Yes, I have it.
Is that the certificate that you received after attending the Quantum veterinary course?
Yes.
Have you attended any continuing education courses since November of 2020?
No.
Why is that?
I had a family situation which happened at the end of 2020, which stopped me for doing any further continuing education in 2021.
Dr. Singh, I'm going to have you just speak up just a little bit because you're trailing off at the end. I heard that you had a family situation, so this was at the end of 2020.
Yes, at the end of 2020, which prevented me from doing anything further on continuing education in 2021.
Why did that family emergency prevent you from doing continuing education?
My father was murdered back in India, and the the complexity of events which followed after prevented me from doing any further CE in 2021.
Thank you. Since April of 2018, when your license was revoked, have you been occupied? Have you been employed?
Yes, I was employed at the same place where I used to practice.
And what were your duties there?
I took over the role of a business manager, and my duties were all the way from inventory management, human resources, payroll, banking, hiring, so all those multiple job responsibilities as a business manager.
Okay. And just to clarify, can you look please at Exhibit 3-002 under the section that says current occupation other than veterinarian or registered vet technician? And can you just describe what those two locations are for the record?
I'm sorry, one more time, which section?
Where it says current occupation other than veterinarian on page 3-002. Just describe for the record, you referred to it being two hospitals, but if you could just describe for the record what it says in that section.
Yeah, it is a business manager at AVPM CA 15LP, Guyset Animal Hospital, and AVPM CA 16LP, Grant Line Veterinary Hospital.
Okay. I just want to clarify for the record, in 2018, in April of 2018, when your license was revoked, were you the owner of Guyset Animal Hospital and Grant Line Veterinary Hospital?
Yes, I was.
Have those hospitals subsequently sold?
Yes, that is true.
And who have they sold to?
It is to AVPM, which is AmeriVet Practice Management, or I'm sorry, Partners Management. And that is the company which I sold the hospitals to.
When did you sell the hospitals?
In March of 2020.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify, between April of 2018 and March of 2020, were you working, as you described, as a business manager at Guyset Animal Hospital and Grant Line Veterinary Hospital?
That is correct.
And after March of 2020, did you continue on as the business manager after those practices were sold?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask you to look at page 3-002 at the very bottom section that says rehabilitation.
Yes.
And you've got five things listed. Let's look at number one. Can you describe what you're saying in number one under rehabilitation on Exhibit 3-002?
That says that I volunteered or shadow Dr. Avatar Singh at Elkhorn Willarga Animal Hospital from December 2018 through March 2020.
How often did you shadow him during that time?
It varied. Sometime it could be 2 to 3 times a month. Sometime could be more frequent or less frequent based on my job responsibilities back at Guyset and Grant Line.
And by volunteer, what do you actually mean? What did you actually do there?
I shadowed the way Dr. Avatar will handle his cases, address different aspects of which I was trying to learn, like record writing. How will he write his records? How will he do the rechecks of the surgeries when he is done with the surgery? How often will he have the reappointment or re-surgery checkup? Then I will see some radiographs and see different chest and abdominal radiograph, which either he has taken the same day or most recent with the cases which he has been dealing with. So all those different aspects.
Okay, when you were shadowing Dr. Singh, did you perform any veterinarian duties?
No, I did not.
Did you perform any duties that you know to be RVT duties?
No.
Okay, and how did that help your rehabilitation, shadowing Dr. Singh?
It gives me more knowledge again about what is the best way in record writing, because I also saw that they transitioned from the paper records to paperless over the time when I used to go there. I saw both tools, which we till date at Geisert and Grantline had paper record instead of paperless, which we are trying to transition, or which we were trying to transition from paper to paperless. So that helped me as well.
Were you paid any compensation when you were shadowing Dr. Singh?
No.
Okay, if you look at number 2 under rehabilitation, can you describe the same way you described what you did with Dr. Singh, what you did relative to the doctor listed in number 2?
That is Dr. Colbier Cara, and he practiced at Madeira Animal Hospital. I did the same thing just like I did at Dr. Avatar's place. I shadowed him. Frequency again varied on different reasons, different factors, but could be few times a month. That I did all the way till March of 2020. And all same thing which I tried to learn at Dr. Avatar's place, I learned at Dr. Kaira's place as well.
When you were at that location shadowing at Madeira Animal Hospital, did you perform any veterinarian duties?
No, I did not.
Did you perform any duties that an RVT would do?
No.
Were you provided with any kind of payment?
No.
And you think that the shadowing that you did there assisted with your rehabilitation?
Yes.
Can you point out any specific thing that you recall that assisted with your rehabilitation at that particular location?
On that location, they usually, Dr. Kara usually get pretty much similar kind of cases as I used to get in Stockton. Some of the common cases which are critical cases are bit by dog, hit by cars, and that will give me an opportunity to look at the radiographs of the chest especially. Those help me a lot because the environment and the kind of cases were very similar to mine.
Thank you. Okay, if you could look at Exhibit 3-002 and what you've got next to number 3 and describe what you did at that location.
Number 3 is Dr. Ranjan Emergency 24-hour hospital, which is located in Vancouver. And I did the same thing as I did on number 1 and number 2, and that was also the cases which were helping me, trauma patients, because it's a 24-hour hospital, so they will get even in the past midnight cases, and the critical care, I will learn how to handle those kind of cases while I was there.
Okay, and when you say Vancouver, do you mean Washington or BC?
I mean Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, thank you. When you were shadowing Dr. Ranjan, did you perform any veterinarian duties?
No, I did not.
Did you perform any duties of an RVT?
No, I did not.
Did you receive any payment?
No.
Approximately how long were you able to, or how much time total did you shadow Dr. Ranjan in Vancouver, BC?
I did each visit. I think I was there about 3 to 4 times over a period of year and a half. And each visit I will go for a couple of days to do the shadowing.
Do you believe that those visits helped with your rehabilitation?
Yes, it did.
How specifically?
One of the things which I had not seen even at Dr. Avatar's place and Dr. Kara's place was the oxygen therapy, which was state-of-the-art. He had with a couple of cages exclusively meant for or kept for those critically ill patients which they'll receive. So that was something which I had never had at my hospital all these years. So that helped me learn more.
Thank you. Still on Exhibit 3-002 under Rehabilitation, number 4, it says reading journals. Do you regularly read these journals that you've got listed?
Yes, I try to take whenever I get chance. They are also at our hospital. We have regular subscription of these magazines, and fortunately all the places which I was shadowing, they had all these, pretty much all the 3 or 4 magazines with a regular subscription as well.
And did reading these journals assist you with your rehabilitation?
Yes, they have, again, relevant topics which we do day-to-day cases, so it helps.
Okay, can I have you look, please, at Exhibit 4-002?
Yes, I have it.
Did you prepare that statement yourself?
Yes.
And is that your signature on the second page, 4-003?
Yes.
Okay. And as you sit here today, do you believe that everything in that statement is true?
Yes.
Okay, if I could have you look at 4002 at the 3rd paragraph. And I'm just going to ask you do you believe you understand the details now of what has to be in a proper medical record?
Yes.
And where did you get that information over the last couple of years?
All these different veterinarian practicing where I shadowed, taking the notes, and so all those observations that helped me.
Okay, if you could look at the fourth paragraph, what do you mean by the first sentence where you say, I also made mistakes in being negligent and by not rechecking surgery complications on recheck visits? What have you learned since then about that?
Every surgery once surgeon has performed, every surgery is different, needs attention, either a recheck within 24 hours, sometimes 2-3 days. But the recheck is critical not only in the success of surgery, but also if there is any potential life-threatening complication which is developing, which can be known sooner than later and can be addressed and might save the lives.
And what have you learned during the last couple of years regarding the evaluation of a critical trauma patient?
As during my shadowing process, I mentioned that the critical care on trauma patient, it more involves in, are they breathing okay? Do they need the intubation right away? Do they need the oxygen therapy right away? Are we equipped to handle the level of criticality which is being presented to us versus referring them right away to the place where they can be helped better than us? So these things which I learned.
And what have you learned about the alteration of medical records?
Anything if need to be added to a medical record which already exists, just add as a supplement lines or paras which have been missed with the date which is being, the day it is being written with the initials, instead of changing it or cutting out things which is not right.
Okay, can I have you look at Exhibit 4, pages 5 and 6, please? Do you recognize that document?
Yes, that is Dr. Kara's letter.
How long have you known Dr. Kara?
About 20 years.
How is it that you know him?
We went to same college back in India.
Did Dr. Kara write this letter himself?
Yes.
Did you tell him what to say specifically?
No. I gave him what recommendation letter should consist of, which was in my petition package, and then he wrote this letter.
Okay, so do you mean the recommendations that are given to you regarding what should be in the petition, with the petition, you gave him that information?
That is correct.
Okay. So just to clarify, the specifics of what's in this letter, did you tell him specifically what to write?
No, I did not.
Okay, thank you. Is it your understanding that he signed this letter?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Can I have you look at Exhibit 4-007? Do you recognize that document?
Yes, that is Dr. Ranjan's letter.
And is Dr. Ranjan the veterinarian that you shadowed in Vancouver, BC?
That is correct.
Did Dr. Ranjan write this letter himself?
Yes, he did.
Did you tell him specifically what to say?
No.
And is it your understanding that he signed this letter?
Yes.
Okay, please look at Exhibit 4-008. Do you recognize, and 4009. Do you recognize that document?
Yes, there's Dr. Avatar's letter.
And is he one of the veterinarians that you shadowed?
Yes.
How long have you known Dr. Avatar?
Same over 2 decades, and we went to the same college back in India as well.
And again, similar to my other questions, did you tell him specifically what to put in this letter?
No.
And is it your understanding that he signed the letter?
Yes.
He refers to your involvement with poor and underserved farmer populations. Can you expand upon that a little bit?
The college where we went to back in India, it's in a state called Punjab. And at that time when I was in the College of Veterinary Sciences in Punjab, that was only specialized place for all the farmers all over the state of Punjab to come for any of their animals' care, complications, big surgeries, which could not been handled anywhere else beside the place where I was studying at. And as they come from far away, so we will try to, their accommodation, medicine, food, any help which we can provide them, as sometimes they will be there for days just for their pet to be seen, and during their stay we will try to help them in different ways.
Okay, as far as the accusation that was filed against you, as far as the situation with the puppies and the declaw removals, what would you do differently now in that case?
I will have
I misspoke. I think I said declaws. I meant to say declaws. Sorry.
I will try to have the recheck visit, especially in such a young puppies which are 2 or 3 days old. If there have been any bandage put on, as it was in those cases, the recheck visit should be within 24 to 48 hours. That is something I will definitely do differently.
Would you allow your assistant currently to recheck those puppies following the surgeries?
No, I won't.
And as far as the situation with Dexter, what would you do differently now with a dog who was in critical condition because of being attacked by another dog?
Again, the close physical exam and assessing whether we are equipped to take that patient in, or I will just try to stabilize the patient and refer it to the place where either they are 24 hours, because we are not. So those are the things which I can do differently.
Okay, can I have you please look at Exhibit 6, page 0-001, please?
Yes.
Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
When approximately did you receive this document?
About a week ago.
Thank you. Have you had the opportunity to review it?
I read it.
If I could have you look at Exhibit 6-002, where it says cause for citation. Have you read those?
Yes.
Did you actually do what's alleged in 6, 7, 8, and 9 on page Exhibit 6-002?
Yes, it doesn't have the specific or detail, but yes, 6, 7, 8, 9, I did.
And why did you, well, let's just start with 6 and 7. Why did you administer vaccinations when you had your license had been revoked?
At our hospital, when a series of puppy vaccines are being administered, veterinarian, they do their physical exam, and then the file is entered for the recheck appointment for the subsequent vaccination, and on that, veterinarian decides whether the next appointment or vaccination visit require him to be seeing the pet versus not, or just vaccination being given on the subsequent visit. So we went by that, or I went by that, by administering the vaccination to the pet.
When you were administering the vaccinations to the pets, was there a veterinarian on the site at the facility?
Yes.
Okay, as far as the allegations in number 8 under cause for citation, did you perform a surgery on December 18th, 2020?
I did do a few procedures.
Do you specifically recall a surgery on December 18th of 2020?
I do not.
Okay. So by a few procedures, what do you mean?
Few procedures, again, I do not recall specifics of it, but like a foxtail case was there, and the foxtail either in the paw or in the ear, and when the case overload and the whole team was overwhelmed, at that time, I did do a few of those.
Okay, but I need to have you clarify when you're talking about a foxtail. Did you perform any surgeries, what you would call surgeries, in 2020 after your license had been revoked?
Yes, again, I do not have the exact dates, but I did do some surgeries during that time.
What surgeries did you perform?
Some neuters and some spays.
And why did you perform surgeries when you knew that your license had been revoked?
During the time when we were really swamped with the cases, and when a lot of rescue groups, which we have been servicing from long time, nobody was able to see them or help them. And in those situations, I did few.
As you sit here today, do you realize that you are not supposed to do surgeries?
Yes.
When did you stop doing surgeries?
I do not again have any date, but I went there possibly 3 to 4 times over the year and a half. So, but I do not know which was the last date or what was the start date, but my visit to the hospital was about 3 to 4 visits over a year and a half.
And by the hospital, which hospital are you referring to?
I'm referring to Grant Line Hospital.
Okay. Is it your recollection that when you did surgeries during this time that they were done at Grant Line versus Kaiser?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand, as you sit here today, that you are not supposed to do surgeries?
Yes.
At the time you were doing the surgeries, did it occur to you that you weren't supposed to be doing surgeries?
Yeah. Yes.
Why did you stop doing surgeries?
Actually, I practically stopped going to the hospital because I was occupied with my family matter, which I mentioned, and I completely stopped going to the hospital.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No.
Okay, I believe that's all we have.
All right, thank you. Ms. Mantle, any cross-examination for the petitioner?
Yes, thank you.
You're muted. Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, there's a bit of a delay, so just be mindful of that and just give a brief pause to make sure that the Mr. Singh is finished answering before you ask the next question.
I will do that, thank you. You said that you stopped doing surgeries because you stopped going to the hospital. Is that correct?
Did you hear that?
No. Can you please repeat it?
So you stopped doing surgeries because you stopped going to the hospital? Is that right?
No.
Please clarify why you stopped doing surgeries.
I don't know how to answer it, but I did not go to the hospital to do surgeries. I will go to the hospital for my business managerial duties, and when I see my team overwhelmed with the cases and workload, and then only I will do some time. But me going to the hospital or me stop going to the hospital is not related to me doing surgery or not doing surgery. If that clarifies, I'm not sure how to answer that.
So if you continued to go to the hospital, you would continue doing surgeries if your team was overwhelmed, is that right?
I'm not sure. Again, this is the situation which arose at that time, and the team needed it, but I will not do that.
You would not do what?
I will not do the surgeries.
Why not?
Because I should not.
And at the time that you did the surgeries, did you know that you should not be doing the surgeries?
I think, yes, I on the back of mind, I knew it, but the situation at that time was something which the decision making, it was wrong on my part, and I cannot tell that what was the thought process when I did them. I do not know, to be exact.
But you knew your license was revoked when you did those surgeries, correct?
Yes.
And it's your testimony that those surgeries were neuters and spays, is that correct?
Yes, again, I do not have recollection entirely, but that is, yes.
Why did those surgeries need to be done with your team being overwhelmed? Did you consider those to be emergencies of some sort?
Especially during the time when I did them. As I mentioned previously, that the rescue group which put the traps overnight, trapped few cats, which was our normal operation all these last 6-7 years, but that hurt them as the rescue operators, in which they will have the cats trapped. Some of them needed attention one way or the other, either spay neuter versus anything else, and they will bring those pets trapped in the carrier to the hospital, and that situation was that we will get overwhelmed due to the factors which we were not predicting on a given day. So that is one of the scenario which comes to my mind, that what are the situation when that happened.
At the time that you administered these vaccinations, as you testified, you knew that your license was revoked. Is that true?
Yes.
And you chose to administer those vaccinations despite the fact that your license was revoked, is that right?
Yes.
In regards to the dew claw removal of the mini Schnauzer puppies, why did you allow your assistant to do the recheck?
It was a mistake which should not have been done then.
How was that a mistake?
Because me as a person who did the surgery should see the recheck visit and see if anything differently or additionally have to be done to those surgery patient. So only surgeon should be rechecking those visits.
So at the time that you allowed your assistant to do the recheck, did you believe that that was okay for the assistant to do the recheck?
No, I did not believe that it was okay by the assistant to do the recheck.
So why didn't you do the recheck instead of your assistant if you knew at the time that you should have been doing the recheck?
Can you again please repeat the question?
If you knew at the time that it was not okay for your assistant to do the recheck, why did you allow your assistant to do the recheck?
I don't know how to answer, but I'm sorry, I do not know how to answer this question.
Regarding the continuing education courses that you took, you stated that those courses helped with your rehabilitation because there were multiple factors involved. Can you explain what factors you were referring to?
After my license was revoked and I had all those cases which led to the revocation of my license, I restudied each single case and tried to see the mistakes which have been done in each cases, and those were the aspects I'm referring to, which I should start my rehab process to see if those mistakes can be corrected in the future and never to happen again.
What mistakes are you referring to?
Excuse me, I couldn't understand that.
Could you please repeat? Just please restate. You cut out a bit.
What mistakes are you referring to?
The mistakes of proper record writing skill, which was lacking and missing. Reading the x-rays, especially when the patient is very critical. And rechecking my procedures in the timely manner. And if I cannot provide the proper care to a patient under my supervision due to hours, due to unavailability, to refer it over. So all those different things.
Would you consider reading an x-ray to be a basic veterinary skill?
I think x-ray reading is an art and a specialized area of our veterinary practice in which, after years of reading multiple x-rays, help us. But I also learned that there are different tools in which X-ray taken can be sent over electronically to the specialists, which can tell us sometime within 10 to 15 minutes of what their reading of that X-ray is, which sometimes help to do the proper course of action for that patient with a specialist opinion rather than a general practitioner reading a radiograph.
So is it your testimony that in regards to the X-ray, that X-ray that was not read properly required a specialist?
Every X-ray, my understanding is that there is nothing like a specialist reading it rather than a general practitioner. There is nothing like that. But if that is not possible in that given situation, then the learning process of hundreds of X-rays to be seen will help make that decision in that time if the specialist opinion is not available.
Regarding the mini Schnauzer puppy that lost its paw, what would you do differently in that situation, if anything?
If any pet, especially the few days old pup, after any procedure has a pressure bandage on, that pet should not be released until that pressure bandage is off from the hospital, and that will avoid that unfortunate incident which happened that time.
And so what would you do differently in that situation?
I would keep the puppies until all the pressure bandages are off and then release the puppies to the owner.
In regards to the animal named Dexter who died, what would you do differently in that situation?
Dexter was the patient which had a chest trauma. I will do the stabilization process right away and see what the tools are available for me as far as reading the radiographs, which are very critical in these cases, and what time of the day the case is presented to me, and whether I am there for good length of time, and whenever I am leaving for the day, I will make sure that the pet is in the right care, either at my facility if other veterinarian is taking over, or to the nearest 24-hour place.
Regarding your alteration of medical records for several of the animals that are in the accusation, why did you feel that it was acceptable to alter the medical records?
No, it was wrong. It was not acceptable. I think I got your question right. Does that answer, or can you repeat your question, please?
Why did you feel that it was acceptable to alter medical records?
I did not think it was acceptable.
Then why did you alter the medical records if you knew it wasn't acceptable?
As of today, I believe that it was not acceptable at that time. The mistakes which were made due to my lack of training in any medical record courses, either during my college time or even here during the licensing process. So those mistakes were made due to the lack of understanding of the record writing, which I learned over time now.
Would you agree that there is a difference between a tooth extraction and a tooth falling out?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain how, for Hercules, the difference in the medical records of a tooth falling out versus a tooth extraction? Can you explain how that is a mistake?
In case of Hercules, again, that the tooth falling out versus tooth extraction should have been properly documented. So that's what I learned from that one.
In regards to the pet named Lady, who was actively bleeding due to an inadequate surgical ligation, what would you do differently in that situation?
That was a space surgery on a big dog. It was a Labrador, almost 80, 90-pound dog. I will keep that pet for extended time. Number one, after surgery, or even before that, during the surgery process, I will double check all the ligatures and reinforce them, especially on a big dog, which there is a possibility of the bleeding as compared to a smaller patient. So I will double ligate them, and I will keep the pet for extended time for observation after the surgery.
Did you inform Dr. Avtar Singh of the revocation of your veterinary license in California?
He was aware of it.
Did you provide him with any additional information regarding the circumstances surrounding the revocation of your license?
Yes, as I mentioned, that he was aware of not only the revocation, but also all the cases which led to the revocation. So he had the complete knowledge of all these cases, shared by me, of course.
You testified that your shadowing of Dr. Avtar Singh gave you information as to regarding documents going from paper to paperless. Is that correct?
That is correct.
How does the documentation going from paper to paperless have to do with your falsification of medical records that you gave to the board in the accusation matter?
The way I see the paperless versus paper documentation is it gives you the date stamp whenever you are supplementing the record versus on a paper in which you physically write the date and time when you are adding it. So those minor help with the paperless, it helps in the record writing, and that's what I will do if I ever practice again. I will go to paperless, which I see is a big help as compared to the paper one.
Was Dr. Cara aware of the revocation of your veterinary license?
Yes.
What did you tell him regarding the circumstances surrounding the revocation of your license?
Again, all the cases, all the reasons which led to revocation, sharing of all that information with him.
Was Dr. Ranjan aware of the revocation of your veterinary license?
Yes.
And what did you tell him regarding the circumstances surrounding the revocation of your license?
The same, all the reasons, all the different cases which led to revocation was shared by me.
So Ms. Seamantle, before you continue, I just want to remind council to just be mindful that the board has another petition hearing. They still need to ask questions as well, and they still have to deliberate. So just to the extent that you're not covering information that's already been covered, I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to open up questioning to our board members as well and get to our next petition. So just be mindful of that, please.
I will. In your letter contained in Exhibit 4, you stated that you failed to render competent care to pets. How can you assure the board that you will be able to, if your license is reinstated, would be able to render competent care to pets in the future?
As I previously mentioned as well, the basic thing is to ascertain when the patient is presented to me that whether I am capable of giving the right care with my resources or not. It starts from there, and then the other things which I have learned in last 4 years will also help me ascertain that same thing, understanding more knowledge on the chest x-rays, on whether a patient need a fluid therapy or oxygen therapy, all these tools will help me in the future.
Why the administrative law judge in the proposed decision in paragraph 94 stated that you attempted to explain away the inconsistencies regarding the medical records rather than acknowledge your conduct and express remorse. What have you done, or what type of insight have you received in regards to the conduct that you engaged in that led to the accusation, as well as your conduct at the hearing?
I'm going to object to that question and compound. I don't really understand myself what she's asking.
Right, so it is compound. Ms. Pimentel, could you just break it up into smaller pieces?
I will. In regards to paragraph 94 of the proposed decision, the judge stated that you attempted to explain away the inconsistencies rather than acknowledge your conduct and express remorse. First, in regards to that statement, what type of insight have you gained regarding your conduct at the hearing?
I'm sorry, I am not getting the question. Either please give me a question again, or in a...
Why is it that you did not acknowledge your conduct and express remorse at the hearing?
Mr. Singh, do you understand the question? So listen to the question. I appreciate that your attorney is trying to show you what she's referring to, but there is a question pending, which is, why didn't you show remorse during the hearing? Is that the question, Ms. Mantle?
Yes.
Do you understand the question, Mr. Singh?
Yes, I see the question as well. Again, it was completely wrong on my part, which I should not have done.
What was wrong on your part?
The questions showing that I did not show the remorse, and
Your Honor, I'm just showing him the paragraph that she's reading from because she didn't refer to the exhibit. And for the record, it's Exhibit 5, page 029.
Right, that's fine. If you want to refresh his recollection as to the section that she's referring to, that's fine.
then I'm not sure how to answer that question, but that was wrong from my part. That's why I'm here today.
Well, I'm not understanding what you're referring to as to what was wrong.
I should have
Please
expressed
explain.
remorse, and I should not have tried to explain the inconsistencies the way I did. So that was wrong, and I should not have done that.
Why do you believe that the board should reinstate your license?
I tried everything in my capacity in last 4 years. I tried to be a better veterinarian, tried to be a better person. Really worked hard on it around the circumstances, through the educational tools, to the colleagues, and if I'm given a chance, I can be of service again to the pets, to the pet owners. That's all.
Since you submitted your application, have you been convicted of any criminal offenses?
No, ma'am.
I have no further questions.
All right, I'm going to now ask our board members, starting to my right with the president, if there are any questions.
Excuse me, good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming. And we know that this is very hard and difficult and emotional and everything else, so we appreciate your, oh, it's not on? Oh, I'm not talking into it, sorry. Anyway, again, thank you very much for coming, and we really appreciate how difficult this is and appreciate your personal dedication to veterinary medicine, that you're wanting to come back. I have a couple of questions, one of which you answered about not having recent CE since 2020, and very sorry for your family tragedy. One basic one is, if you were reinstated, you would need to repay, I believe, the balance of the cost, which is $51,280. Is that something you would be able to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And I guess fundamentally, from your statement in your petition, it seems like you did understand your mistakes, and that was a very positive thing for me. But it's very troubling still, the fact that I think you applied in 2020, April of 2021, but from the record, it looks like you, and I understand your circumstances about a very busy office, but the doing surgeries during that period of time when your license was revoked still troubles me, and it's very hard for me to get over that. And I'm just wondering if you have any, I think you've explained it as much as you can, but my only question is, and you did it after you had applied for reinstatement, which worries me because the law is very clear about veterinary medicine. So not really a question, I guess. I'm just wondering if you have anything more to say on that subject.
Yes, that was a mistake again, done from my part. And please forgive me, all the board members and everyone here. It will never happen again. And I'm sorry for that.
Okay, that's the only, those are my only questions. Dr. Bradbury? I guess I should not be, not spraying the picture.
Hi, Dr. Singh. Thank you for coming. Again, I'm very sorry about your family tragedy. I think, and I could be wrong, Kathy, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. And I'll take this off. I think that the petition happened after the accusations. I think he petitioned in 2021 and the surgery was in 2020. Is that?
May 20 through July 2020.
Ah, thank you. Okay, that just clarified for me. Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm sorry and my condolences to your family.
Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Singh. Just like they said, we understand how hard it is to sit there, so thank you for coming. I just had one question. It was about the surgery that was performed in 2020. Ms. Simantel did ask if you considered it an emergency, and you said it was, I believe, feral cats that were in traps that were brought in by a rescue. Is that correct?
Jennifer, I do not have a recollection of which procedure and which date. I do not, again, know that which kind of surgery was on that specific date, if that's what you're asking. I have no recollection of that which procedure was on that date, because I just read this, all this accusation about a week ago. I tried my best to think that which surgery was done on that date, but I do not know.
Okay, I understand. I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday, so I agree with you. During the time that you did surgeries, though, were they all spays and neuters that you recall?
As I said, not all spays, because foxtail case, again, that is also a procedure.
Okay.
Another recollection is that once the veterinarian had finished the procedure, like mass removal and then stapling the skin suture line. So those are some of my recollection during those few visits I had and the procedures which were done.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, Dr. Singh. I have a question with regards to the surgeries. I just wanted to establish, did this just happen like one time, one day, that everybody was very busy and that you were compelled to help your team, or did this happen over a period of time?
Maria, I think I did mention that over a year and a half almost, my total visit to the hospital were not more than 5 times.
Those 5 times you were compelled to help?
No, again, I do not recall that every single visit had procedures involved, but some of the visit had procedures involved, and the reason was that I saw my whole team running around trying to give their best. And again, I'm sorry, I knew that basically I had the skill from the past which led me do those things, but I should not have done that. I still do not know that how should I have reacted in those given situations where what should I have done differently to not jeopardize all my last 3-4 years of rehab process. I wish I would not have gone there at the hospital those days, but that should not have been done.
Okay, and I appreciate you recognizing that, because there was really no reason, for you to be performing something with your knowledge that your license was not, current. Another question that I have with regard to the vaccination, was there another doctor in the facility when you performed the vaccination?
Maria, I think I can not.
Was there another doctor in the facility when you performed the vaccinations?
That is correct.
Okay. Was the vaccination under the direction of the vet that you were working with, or you just took on patients and did the vaccinations?
The direction of veterinarian goes on the future appointments automatically, or in an indirect way that the doctor has seen the patient, physical exam, and then the subsequent vaccination after every 2 or 3 weeks. So when those future appointment of vaccination is entered on the computer, it is entered as the technician or the appointment which does not require doctor to give the vaccine that day. So those patients are vaccinated with the doctor there, but I did it.
Would you say that you were acting as an assistant performing the vaccinations based on pre-written orders by a veterinarian?
I believe so. Again, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I left?
Could you just, I'm a little bit confused about what exactly you did after you had your license revoked. On the first page with your employment history, you said that you were there's two hospitals, one in Tracy, California, and one in, was it Modesto or?
Stockton.
Okay. So the hospital you owned was the one in Stockton or Tracy?
Both.
You owned both of them?
Both.
Okay. And after you stopped being a veterinarian, you became business managers of both of them?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And that was all throughout the rest of 2019 and 2020 and up until today. So, and did you go into work as business manager 5 days a week? Was it a full-time job that you went in?
As I also mentioned to Maria as well, I think that all my job during 2020 through 2021.
And 2022, all the way to today?
Not till today. There has been a change in which I am not employed at this moment from last almost 6 months now. So all the way till September of 2021 is the time when I'm referring to as far as my employment with AmeriVet is concerned. At that time, it was almost 95% remotely, and very few time when I visit the hospital due to reasons which everybody knows. Pandemic was one.
Yeah, I understand. So you're not currently employed in either one of the hospitals in Tracy or Stockton?
That is correct.
Even though this form says till present day?
I believe the reason is the petition. Until the petition, that was true. But as of today, I'm not employed.
Okay. The other question I have is that when you did lose your license in 2019, it was for medical issues and was also for ethical issues, fraud, changing medical records and so forth. I think that, we're not here as a punitive body. We're not here to punish you for anything like that. And we're not here to retry your cases to see how you did it differently. We're here to find out if you've made efforts to be a better veterinarian. And the reason why goes back to that very first course you took on the human-animal bond. It's a very important bond. And as doctors and veterinarians, we have a huge responsibility to our patients. And I'm satisfied with evidence of rehabilitation on this continuing education that you've done, but I don't see anything about ethical courses or what have you done to improve yourself and show evidence of rehabilitation on an ethical and moral level. To say that you're doing surgeries and you weren't supposed to be doing surgeries doesn't help your case to say that you have rehabilitated yourself ethically.
So we need to make sure we're just asking questions.
Yeah, so what have you done to prove your rehabilitation on an ethical level?
Mark, the way I will answer that question, I hope it's the question you're asking, that why will be I considered a better person and ethical person now versus when my license was taken away. There is no course which I have taken to improve that area of mine, but the 4 years of suffering at a different angles professionally, I'm not talking about the family matters here, sometimes that teaches you that how the things should have been done differently then, and then I would not have been away from my profession for the last 4 years. So the time has taught me so many things. Again, I understand that as a human, I have made a current mistake, which has been discussed here. And I will keep improving myself as a human being, that bring the mistake down to a level where I can be trusted. So, but yes, I have not taken any specific courses in regard to that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and we have our board member who is appearing remotely. Any questions?
Yeah, just wanted to say thank you for coming, Dr. Singh. And this is just a question, I might have missed something, but how long have you known Dr. Ranjan from British Columbia?
He also went to the same college back in India, but at that time, he was very junior to me. I was already here in US at that time when he was finishing up his veterinary degree back in India. But I met him about 10 to 12 years ago. And that's how long I have known him for.
Great, thank you. And approximately how many practicing veterinarians are at these two hospitals that we're referring to?
Are you asking, ma'am, currently at this time?
Well, average over the last year or two when you were acting as a practice manager.
In last 5 to 7 years between the two hospitals, anywhere from 2 to 4 veterinarians serving those two hospitals.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, any follow-up, any brief follow-up, any questions? No, and you don't have to, I'm just making sure that.
And I don't want to take more time than necessary. I just have one follow-up question. Dr. Singh, several times you referred to the circumstances around that were happening at Geyser or Grantline. Was it Geyser or Grantline?
Grantline.
Grantline. When you did the surgeries there that are alleged in the citation. I just want to expand on that a little bit. Did that have anything to do with what was happening because of COVID?
Yes, as I already mentioned, that a few reasons led me to do that act. And the main reason started from the workload gotten to such a high level. Either we had to refuse completely the low-cost spay neuters, and we had seen the pets being euthanized on an alarmingly high rate, and there was no other place those rescue groups were getting any help from. So they continued to come to us. We continued to serve them to the best we could. But the COVID was a main factor when all this happened.
Do you understand as you sit here today that that was wrong?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Seamantle, anything further?
One question. Why are you no longer working at either of the two hospitals since September of 2021?
I don't want to go again on that family situation, but the details might not be any relevant, the family situation details. But that is the main and the only reason which had me resign from the position by September or October of 2021. But if I really want to explain a little bit, the situation was my father murderers were out loose. They were not even being brought to justice, and that took my whole time to get the family matter resolved, and I had no time left to continue serving as a business manager. I had my assistant take over the responsibility after the training of them over a few months so that I can have the time towards the complexity of my situation.
I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, brief closing remarks, Ms. Lutz.
Okay. Yes, I just want to state that Dr. Singh has clearly addressed the issues regarding the pets involved in the underlying accusation, which, I mean, it's interesting to me that he recalls details of those pets at this time and recalls things that he's learned from those situations. And I think that was clear. He spent a lot of time with CE and shadowing people he respected. The problem that he had was he got caught up with a busy practice during COVID and obviously made some mistakes by doing surgery when he wasn't licensed. He's obviously interested in improving as a human being, and I would just urge this board to consider granting this petition and giving Dr. Singh a chance to continue practicing veterinary medicine while on probation. And thank you very much for your attention and everything. Thank you.
Ms. Mantle, closing remarks?
No, thank you.
All right, is the matter submitted, Ms. Lutz?
Yes, Your Honor.
Matter submitted, Ms. Mantle?
Yes.
All right, the matter is submitted and the record is closed. All right,
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. And you both are free to go. Of course. Go ahead and,
We're going to take a 5 to 10 minute break. I don't think, 5 minute maybe. Is that okay? 5 minutes. Thank you. All right, with everyone present, we'll move on to the next order of business, which is a hearing on the petition for early termination for Jennifer Hartman, RVT. And I will turn it over to Administrative Law Judge Marcy Larson.
thank you. Sure, my mic is on, yes or no? No, I don't think it is. Here we go. All right, so I don't see Ms. Mantle yet up on my screen, nor do I see Ms. Hartman or her counsel, Mr. Jones.
This is the moderator. All three are present.
All right, I just want to, so everybody's there confirming, yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right, then we will go on the record. We are on the record. It is April 21st, 2022, in the matter of the petition for early termination of probation of Jennifer Kelly Hartman. This matter is being heard before the Veterinary Medical Board, Department of Consumer Affairs, State of California. This is OAH case number 2022-040-113. Will all the members please identify for themselves for the record, starting to my right.
Kathy Bowler.
Christina Bradbury.
Jennifer Laredo.
Maria Preciosa Solacito.
Mark Nunez.
Jamie Noland on video.
All right, and we do have a quorum present. My name is Marcy Larson. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, presiding over the matter this afternoon. And will counsel for the Attorney General please state your appearance for the record?
Good afternoon, Melissa Seamantle, Deputy Attorney General. I'm appearing on behalf of the Attorney General pursuant to Government Code Section 11522, representing the people of the state of California. I'm here to assist the board in fact-finding. My role is not adversarial, but is intended to protect the public interest. I'm here to ensure that the board has adequate information from which to make a decision.
All right, and counsel for petitioner.
Thank you very much. My name is Kevin Murphy from Murphy Jones. I will be representing petitioner Jennifer Hartman, who's also appearing via video.
All right, and it's Kevin Murphy, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ms. Jones is present as well. I'm sorry, Ms. Hartman is present as well. So I'm just going to briefly explain how the hearing is going to proceed this afternoon. The Deputy Attorney General will give a brief overview of the history of discipline in this matter, and she will also address the 6 exhibits that have been marked and provided to the board, the petition package, and to petitioner. And then after she provides that brief overview and addresses those exhibits, I will, of course, ask counsel if there's any objections to any of those exhibits. Counsel can then give a brief opening statement if you wish. If you don't want to give an opening statement, you don't have to. You could just provide evidence through testimony of the petitioner. I will swear the petitioner in, and she can answer any questions that counsel asks. Ms. Seamantle will have an opportunity to likewise ask questions of the petitioner, Ms. Hartman, and then I will ask our board members if they have any questions for Ms. Hartman as well. Please remember that in this proceeding, the board is concerned about any rehabilitation since petitioner's license was placed on probation. They, of course, have the benefit of reviewing the petition package in advance, and so you don't need to repeat anything that's in the petition package. If you have questions of the petitioner that you want to highlight for the board, you can certainly do that. After all the evidence has been presented, the parties will be given an opportunity to give brief closing remarks. The matter will be submitted, and then the board members will go into closed session to deliberate concerning a decision in this matter. All right, any questions based on that explanation?
No, Your Honor.
No? All right, then, Ms. Seamantle, if you would please begin.
Thank you. What has been marked as Exhibit 1 is the notice of hearing with proof of service. What has been marked as Exhibit 2 is petitioner's license history certification. What has been marked as Exhibit 3 is the petition for early termination of probation. What has been marked as Exhibit 4 are documents in support of the petition for early termination of probation. What has been marked as Exhibit 5 is the probation compliance status report. And what has been marked as Exhibit 6 is the decision and order in case number 460-20170000277, OAH case number 2017-011-036. And the exhibit also includes the stipulated settlement and disciplinary order and the statement of issues.
All right, Mr. Murphy, any objection to any of these exhibits?
No, ma'am. We want you to have all the evidence.
All right, 1 through 6 are admitted.
In regards to a brief background, the board issued petitioner registered veterinary technician license number RVT 12538 on January 10th of 2018. Upon issuance, petitioner was placed on probation for 5 years with certain terms and conditions. On December 15th of 2016, the statement of issues was filed against petitioner based upon her 2006 driving under the influence conviction, her 2008 conviction for public intoxication, dangerous use of a controlled substance and alcohol, convictions for alcohol and or drug-related criminal offenses, her 2009 conviction for illegal possession of a hypodermic needle, her two convictions in 2010 for petty and her two convictions in 2010 for petty theft. The circumstances are that on March 24th of 2006, Petitioner was convicted of driving under the influence of alcohol with a blood alcohol content of 0.08% or more. The conviction was a result of Petitioner being arrested on December 24th of 2005 after she was involved in a vehicle collision. Additionally, in October of 2008, Petitioner was convicted of public intoxication after she was arrested on August 20th of 2008 when officers found her under the influence of a controlled substance. On June 2nd of 2009, Petitioner was convicted of illegal possession of a hypodermic needle after an officer found 2 hypodermic needles in a suitcase that she identified was hers, and Petitioner also told the officer she recently used methamphetamine. Further, on March 4th of 2010, Petitioner was convicted of petty theft after she took 3 aerosol cans of computer duster and left Rite Aid without paying on March 2nd, 2010. Lastly, on August 5th of 2010, Petitioner was convicted of petty theft after she took items from Vaughn's grocery store without paying on February 10th of 2010. Effective July 23rd of 2017, the board adopted the stipulated settlement and disciplinary order in the statement of issues matter, which allowed Petitioner to obtain her license with probation terms and conditions. Petitioner is requesting early termination of her probation, and because the burden is on Petitioner, I have no further statements, but would reserve the right to question the Petitioner. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Murphy, do you wish to give an opening statement?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. I hope that this petition will be a little more streamlined with less issues than the last one that I sat through. And by way of background, Ms. Hartman is the mom of 2 young kids, and she no longer requires probation oversight to protect the California public in her RVT capacity. As my esteemed opposing counsel stated, she was licensed to practice in California in 2017. The stipulation for probation that was discussed was entered into for misconduct that occurred approximately a decade prior to her licensure. But out of Ms. Hartman's deep desire to practice and wanting to demonstrate to you, the board, that she's completely able to safely practice, she voluntarily entered into the stipulated settlement agreement on March 29th, 2017, and that became effective July 23rd, 2017. So as stated in our petition, Ms. Hartman has successfully completed all of the continuing education requirements. She did that between 2018 and 2021. She's remained gainfully employed this entire time, absent any clinical performance issues. She has rendered full cost reimbursement to the board and has paid all of her costs in total. And she has completely abstained from the use of alcohol or any mood-altering drugs. What you can read also in our petition is further evidence of Ms. Hartman's ability to continue to safely practice related to her depression. And although she has been diagnosed with clinical depression, she is no longer on medications, and she even suffered through the pandemic absent any kind of relapse or other issues, which I think further highlights for this board, we're dealing with someone who is completely safe to practice. Her probation is set to expire in January, and she will testify to you why she would like to terminate early and move forward in her life. Significantly, we have a lot of mitigation evidence in this case, which I strongly hope that the board is going to read each of the letters of professional recommendation in detail, because it really does give you a good idea of who Ms. Hartman is and kind of puts into context her prior misconduct again, all of which occurred before she was licensed, with the latter conviction occurring in 2010, more than 11 years ago. You're going to hear testimony that Ms. Hartman is extremely remorseful and that she has learned a great deal from her mistakes. She desires to contribute to society in her professional RVT capacity, absent continued oversight. So in conclusion, after considering all of the evidence that will be submitted in this matter for the Honorable Board's consideration, I contend that it's clear that she's safe to practice without any additional probation. The evidence is going to show you that she's extremely well respected by her supervisors, her professional peers, and the patient families whom she deals with on a daily basis. The evidence is also going to demonstrate that she consistently shows extraordinary care in her professional capacity. So for the foregoing reasons and all of the evidence submitted to the board for your consideration, petitioner respectfully requests that you grant her petition and issue her an unencumbered license. However, in the alternative, should the board not terminate probation in its entirety, I represent that Ms. Hartman is willing to adhere to any order that you may issue. So if it pleases the board, I'll now ask a couple of questions of Ms. Hartman on direct examination, and then we'll offer to have her answer any questions proffered by Ms. Cimantel, the board members, board staff, or anybody else that has any questions regarding these things.
All right, then, Ms. Hartman, the first thing I need to do is swear you in. I need to be able to see you. So at this point, I can't, so you may need to say something so that you pop up on my screen.
Hello, I'm Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer. All right, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state and spell your name.
My name is Jennifer Hartman. It's Jennifer. Last name Hartman, Hartman.
All right, Ms. Hartman, just a couple of ground rules to make things go smooth this afternoon. Your attorney will question you first. Just give a brief pause before you answer the question, and that will help to ensure that he's actually done with his question. Sometimes it can be difficult to know because you're appearing remotely and you can't see each other real clearly. So just give that brief pause. If you hear Ms. Cimantel say the word objection, do not answer the question unless I instruct you to do so. After Mr. Murphy is done questioning you, Ms. Cimantel will have an opportunity to question you. The same rules apply, and then I will open up questioning to the board members. I will then give your counsel another opportunity to ask any follow-up questions if he has any, and I'll likewise do that with Ms. Cimantel as well before we begin closing remarks. All right, Mr. Murphy, your witness.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hartman, as we discussed, the board is going to be able to ask you all relevant questions, but I'm going to ask you a couple of questions just to give them some background information. Can you please detail your educational history beginning with college for the board's edification?
Yes, so I did go to San Diego State University right out of high school for 2 semesters. And then I transferred over to a community college where I did classes here and there, where I maintained about a C average. It was at this point when I started dabbling into the drugs. And so then I did cease all education at that point. And then once I had pulled myself out from all the drug use and stuff like that, I did enroll back into the community college where I finished my prerequisites. And then I enrolled in the animal health technology program where I graduated in 2016 with a 4.0 and honors.
Ms. Hartman, I've been told never to ask this of any woman by my mother, but I have to ask you, how old are you?
I am 39 right now.
And do you have a family?
I do. I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son, and I have a husband.
What does he do for work?
He works for UPS.
And you have 2 children, a 4-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old son?
Yes.
What states are you licensed to practice as an RVT?
California only.
Please describe any professional discipline that the California Veterinary Medical Board has imposed on your RVT license.
Just this 5-year probation sentence. Is that what you're referring to? Other than that, nothing.
I just want to clarify for the board, you haven't been the subject of any other investigation, have you?
No.
You haven't received any kind of civil citation from them?
No.
And you're not currently the subject of any accusation or petition to revoke probation proceedings?
No.
Great. Please describe your current employment for the board. What's your position? What are your duties? Types of patient population you deal with?
So I do work with cats and dogs only at this point. I am licensed RVT. There are 4 of us at the practice. I am one of the main RVTs that is in surgical, in the surgical nursing department. So I do intakes. I do patient prep, induction, monitoring. I do probably about 60% of all the dentistries that come through the hospital, including extractions as well. We do have an urgent care at our practice. On certain days, I am on the urgent care team, which I triage the patients and I help follow through treatments. And I help delegate tasks to different teammates just to try and efficiently take care of the animals for that day. We also are a fear-free certified hospital. So I'm very big on low stress environment for the animals. And I advocate for our patients, especially the more nervous ones that come in. We have to explain to the owners what our practice is all about. And why we may need to send them home with like anti-anxiety medications and or sedation in order to make their visit low stress for them. And I also advocate for our employees so that they may also advocate for their when they feel is necessary.
Great, thank you. Can you please tell the board what we've done to complete the terms of your probation? Have you complied with the terms of your probation since you started in July 2017?
Yes, I have done the monthly supervision reports, quarterly reports, and the mandated drug screens.
Have you had any positive drug screens?
I did back in the beginning. I think a couple came up for alcohol. I was taking Z-Quil to sleep at night frequently. I had now on a different regimen for sleep medication when I do need help to sleep.
Is it your testimony that you did not imbibe alcohol for its intoxicating effects, which led to the positive early urinalysis results?
No.
Are you still in recovery?
Yes, I am in an anonymous program. I'm very strong in my program. I do have a sponsor. I do sponsor other women, and I help other women by telling my story and just give them my experience, strength, and hope in order to help them know that they can have a better life as well. And I am going to these meetings weekly. I talk to my sponsor a few times a week as well, among other females in the program.
Can you estimate for the board, how many women have you acted as an AA sponsor for?
At this point, just 3.
Have you taken any of them through all 10 steps?
12 steps, yes.
I'm sorry.
I think there's 12.
That was a test, board. I hope that you picked up on that. Ms. Hartman corrected me. There are actually 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, not 10. Have you taken any of your 3 mentees through all 12 steps? If so, how many of them?
Yes, there has been one that has made it all the way through. And we still do talk frequently. We're actually going camping together in July. So
It's
we're
my-
pretty close.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I was starting to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
It's my understanding that after you do all 12 steps, you don't stop there, that you typically start over and you go through them again with your sponsor. Am I accurate for your participation in AA?
Yes. Once we do the 12 steps with our sponsor, each time we do sponsor a new person, we do the steps along with them. And then whenever we feel like we need to clean house up in the head or something like that, we'll go through the 12 steps with our sponsor as well. And I've done that a couple of times with my sponsor.
So
Along with-
are you, well, I guess for your two sponsees that haven't done all 12, what steps are you on?
Well, one of them, unfortunately, Relapse is no longer with me. And the other one, we're just on step 4, which can be a challenging step for some people.
It's my understanding, I think that's the fearless and searching moral inventory. Am I correct?
You are correct, yes.
And that can often take a long time.
Yes.
Have you made amends to the people that you listed out when you did your fearless searching moral inventory?
Yes.
And have you done anything else in terms of probation compliance that you were required to do, not that you've done above and beyond?
I'm not sure. I've done some continuing education credits.
And we've submitted those. I understand that you've got letters of professional recommendation. Were you required to obtain those pursuant to the terms of your stipulated settlement agreement?
I believe it was recommended, not required.
My office recommended it. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And you made proactive efforts to provide the board with these testimonials stating that you are safe in your clinical RVT capacity. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I think well, just to finish out the sobriety questions, it's my understanding that you previously had a prescription for depression. Do you currently take any prescription medications?
Currently the only prescription medication, besides my hormones that I'm taking, I do take trazodone to help me sleep when needed.
That was cleared through your veterinary medical board probation monitor?
Yes.
You take any other medications?
Not at this time, no.
Is it your intent to remain active in recovery, the recovery community, if you get an unencumbered RVT license?
Yes, absolutely. My life today is just wonderful. I'm super happy and I'm just proud of the person that I am. And I love helping people and animals. And, I learned my lesson about all that negativity. I don't want that in my life. I don't want that around my children. So this is where I want to be. And I'm just going to continue to do what I need to do to have a great life and help who I can help.
So Ms. Hartman, I think the most important question for the board today, why do you want to terminate probation early?
So a big reason for me would be the financial aspect. I have borrowed a lot of money from my mother to help pay for all of these costs that I will have to pay her back for. And it's very expensive. I don't make a lot of money as an RVT. So that is a big factor for me. And the days that I do have to submit for drug testing after work, it does screw up my children's bedtime routine. And they are curious, like, why am I having to do this? And I do explain, I try to explain to them, and it's hard to explain to a 4-year-old why I have to go, pee in a cup or something. So, and I feel that I'm a, responsible, productive member of society now. I don't feel that I need this oversight anymore.
Is the time constraints on your schedule, and I mean time constraints associated with your probation compliance, another factor for why you want to terminate at this time?
I'm not sure I understand time constraints.
Yeah, I mean, you said that you have little kids and it messes up their schedule, so I just figured it takes a lot of time. I'm asking, is time constraints one of the factors, or is it mainly just money and the impact on your kids?
Yes, I understand. Yes, time constraint is another factor. When I do go in for these random testing, yeah, I never know how long I'm going to be waiting there as well. So sometimes I'm there for a couple hours. I mean,
can you estimate on average how many hours does it take out of your day when you are selected to, as you said, pee in a cup or conduct some kind of drug test?
I'd say on average 1 to 2 hours.
Now, Ms. Hartman, if you're granted an unencumbered license, will you do anything like the underlying misconduct that led to the probation agreement in the first place?
No, absolutely not.
All of my questions are going to be with the proviso if you're granted an unencumbered license, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you're granted an unencumbered license, would you do anything illegal?
No.
If you're granted that unencumbered license, will you do anything to place any patient's health or safety at risk?
No.
Have you ever done anything in your RVT capacity that was threatening towards others?
No.
I'm going to ask you, what personality traits do you think make you a good RVT?
Well, I am reliable, dependable, trustworthy, caring, and I love being a team player and making plans and following out treatments just to help all these animals out. I'm very passionate in what I do.
The board is going to have an opportunity to ask you questions, Ms. Hartman, but I'm just going to ask, do you have anything else that you'd like to add before I end my questioning?
I just would like to ask you to please consider terminating my license. Just showing over the last 10 years that I've completely changed my life around. I am not that person that I was 10 plus years ago. I do have 2 young children who are my life. My passion is helping with animals. And I would never do anything to jeopardize anything that I have right now. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing further at this time.
All right, Ms. Mantle, cross-examination.
Thank you. Good afternoon. When did you start using drugs?
As soon as I went to San Diego State University. So I was 18.
Approximately what year was that?
2001.
When did you start drinking alcohol?
I had my first...
Madam President, I'm going to object to this whole line of questioning that this is irrelevant. The entire prior drug use history was already litigated in the underlying case, which is what led to the probation agreement. So rehashing these kind of details I don't see as beneficial for the board. That's my objection.
All right, so let's stick to just the legal basis for the objection, which is relevance, and then if I need more, I will ask. Ms. Mantle, I just want to I'm not going to sustain the objection, but I do want to just caution you that the record speaks for itself. The history of discipline is all in the record. And so to the extent that the board has reviewed all that, I don't know that it's exactly helpful to them to just go through what has already been read that's in the record. So if you could more focus your questioning into things that you want to highlight as opposed to just going back through the history as it relates to what's already been established in the record, I think that's going to be most helpful for the board members. And then if the board members have specific questions that they don't feel like were addressed, they can certainly ask those as well. But this is a focus on rehabilitation. So to that extent, I will allow some questioning if you believe that there's things that are particularly useful for the board to be aware of, but just be mindful of that, please.
And should I re-ask the question, or is the objection sustained?
The objection was not sustained, but I don't think it's helpful for the board to go back through a lot of history that's already in the record. So the question is, when did you start drinking alcohol? Correct?
Yes.
All right, can you answer that question, please?
Yes, I did have my first drink when I was 16.
I'm sorry, 16?
Yeah, 16.
All right, thank you.
Do you have a sobriety date regarding your use of drugs or controlled substances?
Yes, my sobriety day is March 16th, 2012.
Is that also in regards to alcohol, or do you have a different sobriety date?
It is the same date for both.
How often do you, actually first, when did you start attending AA or NA meetings?
When did I start? I did dabble a little bit here and there back in probably the early 2000s, but I didn't get serious about going to these meetings until 2012.
How often do you attend AA or NA meetings?
At least once a week, if not twice.
And it sounds like you're currently in touch with your sponsor?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times have you worked through the 12 steps?
Objection, asked and answered.
Overruled. You can just clarify that for the board. Go ahead and answer, Ms. Hartman.
Oh, sorry. How many times? I've worked through them a couple of times with my sponsor, and then another full time with one of my sponsees, and I'm currently working through them again.
What step was the most difficult for you?
Step 4, when I really had to put down pen to paper, everything that I'd really done wrong and who I'd done wrong to. Just seeing all the things that I'd done and hurt that I've caused myself and family members and stuff, that was really hard.
Have you held any positions of service?
I have done a secretary position at my home meeting on Friday nights.
Are you currently seeing a therapist?
Not currently.
Did you in the past?
Yes.
When did you stop seeing a therapist?
It was probably about 6 months ago.
Why did you start using controlled substances?
Well, I was extremely shy growing up. I feel like I never fit in. So the alcohol kind of brought that out in me. And then with the drinking, I got mixed in with the wrong crowd. And, peer pressure, just that's how it started.
What steps have you taken to ensure the board that you will not engage in petty theft again?
Oh gosh. Well, the petty theft was when I was not in a good place. I did not have any money. I mean, stealing is just not something that is tolerated by me anymore. Like I said, I'm a completely different person. I'm a responsible member of society. I make my own money. I pay my bills. It's just not tolerated from me, and it's part of my program as well.
What steps have you taken to ensure the board that you will not use intoxicating or mind-altering substances again?
Just being actively involved in my AA program, being actively involved with my sponsor, my sponsees, and just going through the steps. Yeah.
Do you have a relapse prevention plan?
Yes, I do. Yes.
What are some of the things that are included in your relapse prevention plan?
So have journaling is one of them. Reaching out to my support system. I can reach out to my therapist if needed. I talk to my sponsor. Just continue going to meetings. Just be active in my recovery. I'm active in my family. Just keeping myself on a positive note.
How can you assure the board that you are safe to practice as an RVT without supervision?
I feel that if you do review the letters that were written, they will explain what kind of a worker, what kind of a person I am. And I just am going to continue to follow my passion and do my best. The only assurance I can give you is to tell you that I'm not going to do that. I'm not going down that path. That is not me anymore. I've learned my lesson from all that stuff. That's not part of my life anymore.
Since you submitted your application, have you been convicted of any criminal offenses?
No.
I have no further questions.
All right, I'm now going to ask our board members, starting to my right with the president, if there's any questions.
Good afternoon, Jennifer. Thank you so much for coming or sitting, looking at us through the screen. I want to commend you on the packet you sent in and all your letters of recommendation. They were quite informative and well-written and clearly, truly, people meant what they said. So I really don't have any questions. I just want to thank you and thank you for your work on your recovery and dedication to your profession.
Thank you.
This is always awkward because we don't know where to look. But hi, Jennifer. Thank you. I know this must be really difficult to come and tell your story like that, but it's quite inspiring, and I'm really proud of what you've done, and I'm glad you've joined our field, and thank you for your testimony today.
Thank you.
Hi, RVT Jennifer. RVT Jennifer here. Thank you for being here. You pretty much answered all of our questions. We just look for evidence of rehabilitation, and you said your sobriety date was in 2012. 10 years is a long time. So commend you on your hard work and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer. Dr. Solacito here. I also just wanted to say good job, for continuously winning over, your challenges. And I wish you luck, and hopefully this is something that you truly overcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
My office manager is at RVT, and her name is Jennifer Hartman. So there's lots of Jennifers that are RVTs. In these cases of showing evidence of rehabilitation involving drugs and alcohol, we've been trained to look for certain boxes, and you've checked all the boxes that were on the list. You are in an AA program which has 12 steps, not 10 steps. All of us recognize that right off the bat. You have a sponsor, you've turned back and you've helped others. I think you said just 3. but that's an amazing number, even if you have one person recover from that. So you have a therapist that you can talk to. You have financial support from your mom. I did take note that you plan on repaying back your mom. That shows responsibility. And you have a sobriety date. And your probation report is very good. So I want to say that I'm very proud of you. It's not easy to do what you did, but I'm super proud of you.
Thank you. All right, and then our board member who's appearing remotely, any questions?
Thank you, Jennifer. I know that everyone has said this, but it is difficult to do this. We actually can see each other better probably because we're both remote. But, I know it's sometimes hard to answer the questions that are asked, but they really do help us. And again, I'm very proud of you as well. And I'm a mother and grandmother, and I understand how children can also change your life and keep you focused. So, best of luck.
Thank you.
Right, any redirect to Mr. Murphy?
If you'll indulge me, I have two to five follow-up questions.
All right.
Ms. Hartman, is it fair to say that your drug use led to the petty theft violations?
Yes.
Have you ever stolen anything when you weren't in the throes of drug addiction?
No.
And in terms of your relapse prevention plan, is praying also a part of that plan?
Oh, yes. I do pray every morning.
What about meditating if you experience cravings?
Yes. Sorry, I got a little nervous. Forgot some stuff.
Is exercise part of your relapse prevention plan?
I do exercise weekly, yes.
That's it. Thank you very much. Nothing further.
Anything further, Ms. Mantle?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Closing remarks, Mr. Murphy?
Mine first. Thank you. Yes,
you have the burden. You get to go first.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry, Judge. My remarks are going to be very brief. I think the board already understands what's going on here. The only thing I'm going to highlight is various factors that for your consideration that I know you're already taking under advisement, but I'll run through them. The nature and severity of the acts or offenses or crimes under consideration. Because they occurred from 2006 to 2010, it may appear that there are a multitude of convictions, but my contention is they all stem from drug use and abuse. And once the drug use was eliminated, we're talking about a model citizen here. So then I'd also caution you to look at any harm to any potential patient. This occurred well before she was licensed, over 7 years from the last conviction before she got her license. So there's been no patient harm. I raised the issue of a prior disciplinary record because she doesn't have any, which also weighs in her favor. And then you got to look at the rehabilitation evidence. That's really the linchpin of this case. I'm not going to belabor the point because I know the board will read the packet, but she has done above and beyond what she needs to do to get sober and to stay sober. So another factor that weighs in her favor is compliance with conditions of her criminal sentencing. She did everything that she needed to do with the criminal courts, and she's been completely exonerated. And then the last thing, which I think is very important for this board, is, the second to last thing is the time passed since the offenses occurred. That's why we're appearing in front of you today. I, recommended that Jennifer pursue petition for early termination of probation at her earliest opportunity, but she delayed it until she knew that she was safe to practice, and it really became a life impediment for her. So aside from the time passed, which has been, like I said, at least 7 years from the first one, from the last one, 11 years from the first date of conviction. The last thing I'm going to say is the mitigation evidence. You look at my petition packet, and really all of my arguments are in the evidence. If you read the evidence, it will prove to you there are no public safety concerns by allowing her to now practice absent any oversight or probation requirements. And I'm proud of her, like many of the board members are, and I know she's going to continue to make us all proud. So I very much appreciate your thoughtful consideration in this case. I pray for your compassionate and empathetic receipt of the evidence. And I know that Ms. Hartman is also very appreciative of your time today. Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Seamantle, closing remarks?
No, Your Honor.
All right, is the matter submitted, Ms. Seamantle?
Yes.
Matter submitted, Mr. Murphy? Matter submitted. All right, matter submitted. Record is closed. We are off the record, and everyone is free to go. Part of the Hartman petition, and then I believe the board will be going into closed session. I will turn this back to our president.
Thank you. Thank you again, Jennifer, for coming. Yes, at this point, we'll recess open session and go into closed session for deliberation. And just to say it, we will, after that, go back into open session, but really only for the reason to adjourn the meeting. Thank you, and I guess you guys are turning everything off?
Yes, this is the moderator, so I'm going to be stopping the recording and the live stream.